It's time for our final speaker of this section. So, can we please give a round of applause to Antony Butcher?
Cool. So, hi, my name's Antony. As you can see from this photo taken just before I went to school, I was a really good kid. I went to all of my classes, did extracurricular activities. I taught African drumming. And in my spare time, I did a lot of charity fundraising. When I was 17 years old, I cycled from Land's End in Cornwall up to John O'Groats at the top of Scotland, the longest bike ride you can do in the UK, with a friend and with my dad in the camper van. And then when I was at university, I cycled from my hometown to London here and back again, another 500 miles. And then after I graduated from university, I did Land's End John O'Groats again, but I did it solo and unsupported, and I went through flooding, and I got tendinitis. So for one day I was cycling with just one leg, and this leg wedged in the frame. And did a huge amount of fundraising. That year I was in the top 1% of Just Giving's fundraisers, and I'm really excited to say that I've raised £15,000 for charity so far in my life, which is very cool and exciting. Thank you very much. But like a lot of fundraisers, there's a real euphoria to raising money, and there's a real euphoria to reaching your goal and lifting your bike above your head. But a lot of my fundraising comes out of tragedy. My mum has multiple sclerosis. It's a horrible condition, and I could talk to you for about 3 hours about how this has affected me, and I've learned this more and more over the last couple of years. But I don't want to talk about that. What I want to talk about is the impact this has had in making me always want to go off and do something else. I always want to change something. I can't change how my mum is, but I want to do something good. So after Land's End John O'Groats, I was thinking, what next? What next? And what happened next was a depressive episode. I started a new job, waiting for 7 colleagues to come from another country. They never turned up. I was sat in an empty office by myself for 6 months. I worked from home a lot. I gained a lot of weight. I didn't speak to people. And if you're a people person and you don't speak to people for 6 months, you go a little bit crazy. This is me in America. That was me weighing quite a lot more than I do now. And it was on that holiday, when you're on holiday and you go, I don't really want to go back to work. I'd think of work and sweat and not be able to sleep. And on the surface, I might have looked okay, but underneath, I was completely out of control. I was really anxious. I was fidgeting with my hands all of the time. I didn't want to spend time with my friends. When I went to a doctor, I had IBS rather than just an unsettled stomach. They suggested antidepressants. And on the worst days, I lost complete control of my thought. And on the absolute worst day, I was stood on the train platform and thought, what happens if I just walk in front of this train? And that terrified me. I really like trains. So I was really determined to get out of this. And I was lucky to get a new job. I had great support from my cats, although they weren't that much help. I have a wife who has experience of mental health who helped me get through this. I was able to talk to family and friends, and I went to them and said what was going on, and they told me that I wasn't alone and that it's okay to not be okay. And so as I became a little bit more me, I went, right, I'm going to take control of this. I'm going to own it. So I did some more charity fundraising. I shaved off all of my hair for charity. My God, I'm ugly without hair. Getting out of a shower was a shock. But I thought, I want to do something more. I'd really felt as if I didn't know who I was and what my purpose was, so I wanted to give myself a purpose. So I decided to casually plan to cycle across America from New York to San Francisco, about 3,500 miles. But that wasn't quite enough, so I thought fit to warm up, I'd enter the London Marathon. So this is what I'm doing at the moment. So I started running in January. I had never run before in my life. I'm really bad at it. I went for a park run with my cousin Helen. She's inspirational. She made me do some running. As you can see in this top left picture, I ran with a Yorkshire cap on. That's how unprepared I was. I had no gear and no idea. 6 months later, I'm on the verge of doing a half marathon. You can see I now have the gear. I'm not sure I have the idea yet, but I'm starting to get there, and I'm just waiting for someone to tell me that I've got a place in the marathon. In terms of a bike ride, there's a huge amount of my personal life being taken up in preparing. I went to the bike shop where I brought my bike and said, what do I do to make my bike fit to cycle across America? And they went, we'll get you a list. There was so many things I have to do. I'm thinking about all of the things that could go wrong. I will be by myself for 3 months. As I've already said, loneliness is a real issue for me. America also has guns, cars, bears, wild dogs, which like to attack you in the Midwest, and lots of sun, here demonstrated on my bowl patch. So what's the point of all of this? My aim is to try and raise £20,000, mostly for research towards multiple sclerosis, but I also want to raise awareness of mental health, and this is really where I'm going back to school. I'm going to be going before I go, when I come back, and whilst I'm cycling across America to try and visit schools, colleges, community groups, youth groups, veterans associations, to talk about my experiences, what happened, and why I'm taking 3 months off work to cycle across America. So I want to leave you today. You are my first audience to hear this. So I just want to share my story and just leave you with that message that my friends told me. It's okay to not be okay. It's okay to talk about how you're feeling, and you're not alone. And I'm saying that because if I didn't know those things, I might not be here today. So thank you very much.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, you can see others on the Bettakultcha YouTube channel. Subscribe now and you'll be notified when new ones are uploaded.